My wife told me she wanted a divorce while frosting our daughter's birthday cake. The same cake I'd spent 3 hours decorating with Elsa characters because Emma couldn't stop talking about Frozen for 6 months. The piping bag was still in my hand, blue buttercream on my fingers. Emma's 7th birthday party was happening in our living room, 12 kids playing pin the nose on Olaf, 8 parents making small talk near the snack table, my mother-in-law Martha arranging gift bags by the door. Normal. Everything was so unbearably normal. Sarah stood across from me in the kitchen, the cake between us. Her hands were shaking. "I can't do this anymore," she said. I thought she meant the party, the chaos, the sugar high screaming. 30 more minutes, I told her, then we'll... No, I mean us, this. I miss of being single. The words hung there. Someone laughed in the living room. A balloon popped. Sarah, not now. I've been faking this for months, Jake. Her voice was rising. I don't love you. I don't think I ever... She pulled the ring off her finger. The ring I'd saved for 8 months to buy. The ring with my grandmother's motto engraved inside in tiny italic script. We don't leave. She threw it. It hit the cabinet, bounced, twice, landed somewhere under the fridge. The sound was small, metallic, final. That's when she said the 4 words that made the other parents stop mid-conversation. I miss being single. Emma appeared in the doorway wearing her purple party dress and a paper crown. Mommy, why are you yelling? Sarah wiped her eyes, forced a smile. Nothing, baby. Mommy just needs a minute. But Emma looked at me, at the cake, at the frosting bag I was still holding like an idiot. Her 7-year-old brain trying to solve an equation with too many variables. Did I do something wrong? Emma whispered. No, sweetheart, you didn't do anything wrong. Sarah left, just walked out through the back door, left me standing there with a kitchen full of questions I couldn't answer and a living room full of witnesses I couldn't face. Martha found me 10 minutes later crouched by the fridge with a flashlight. The ring was dusty, cold. I ran my thumb over the engraving, my grandmother's handwriting, worn smooth from 11 years. We don't leave, but Sarah already had. The text message came at 11:47 p.m. I was lying on the couch, still in my clothes from the party. Emma was asleep upstairs. Sarah hadn't come home. My phone buzzed. At first I thought it was from Sarah. Some explanation, some apology. Something that would make the last 6 hours make sense. It wasn't from Sarah. It was from Sarah, but it wasn't meant for me. The message appeared in our family group chat, the one we had with my mom, Sarah's sister Katie, our neighbor Linda, the one we used to coordinate carpools and share Emma's school photos. The message read, "Can't wait to feel 25 again with you. Jake has no idea." Tomorrow night, same place. 3 dots appeared below it, then disappeared, then appeared again. My phone started ringing. Sarah. I watched it ring, once, twice, declined. It rang again immediately. Katie's name flashed on the screen, then my mom's, then Sarah's again. 18 calls in 2 minutes. I took a screenshot, then another. Then I forwarded them to my personal email. Then I backed them up to the cloud. My hands knew what to do, even though my brain was still catching up. The text message wasn't meant for me, it was meant for him. Sarah came through the front door at 12:10 a.m. She looked pale, frantic. Jake, I need to explain. Who is he? She stopped. What? Who is he? I don't know what you're... I held up my phone, showed her the screenshot. She stared at it for 9 seconds. I counted. It's not what you think, she said. You texted the family chat instead of him. That's what I think. Jake, please. How long? It doesn't matter. How long? A few months. It's not serious. It's just I needed to feel something again. I laughed. It came out wrong, bitter. You needed to feel something, so you destroyed our family. Don't be dramatic. Emma will be fine. Kids are resilient. Resilient? The word tasted like poison. She asked me if she did something wrong. She's 7 years old and she thinks your midlife crisis is her fault. Sarah's face hardened. I'm not having this conversation tonight. Good, because we're having it with lawyers. I walked past her to the kitchen, grabbed the folder I keep in the drawer by the fridge. Bills, taxes, bank statements. The joint savings account statement was on top. I'd checked it 3 weeks ago to price out a family trip to Disney World for Emma's Christmas present. Sarah had been acting distant. I thought maybe a vacation would help. The balance 3 weeks ago, $67,000. Bars. I opened the current statement, $8,400, $63, $58,600, gone. I spread the statements on the kitchen table. Sarah came in behind me, saw what I was looking at. You weren't supposed to check until December, she said quietly. That's when I knew this wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was planned, calculated. She'd been dismantling our life piece by piece while I decorated birthday cakes and scheduled dentist appointments. Where is it? My voice was flat now, dead. I needed my own money for when $58,000. It's my money too. For hotel rooms? For him? Her silence was the answer. I pulled out more papers, credit card statements I'd printed that afternoon while Emma watched Frozen for the 100th time. Charges I didn't recognize. Hotels in the city, jewelry purchases, restaurants we'd never been to together. There was a yellow post-it note stuck to one of the statements. Sarah's handwriting. Close joint account, 11/15. November 15th, 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks before she planned to have the talk. You were going to empty the account completely, I said. I was going to leave you enough. Enough for what? Enough to pay the mortgage you'd already abandoned. Enough to explain to Emma why we can't afford her dance lessons anymore? She looked at the bank statements, then at me. You weren't supposed to check until December. She said it again. Like that made it okay. Like the problem was my timing, not her theft. I picked up the statements, the credit card receipts, the post-it note in her handwriting. I put them all back in the folder. I'm sleeping in Emma's room tonight, I said. You can have the couch. Or you can leave. I don't care. Jake, I'll see you in court. Emma woke me up at 6:47 a.m. I was on the floor of her room with a pillow and a throw blanket. My back hurt. My head hurt. Everything hurt. Daddy? She was standing over me in her unicorn pajamas. Why are you on the floor? I sat up, tried to smile. Mommy and Daddy needed some space last night. Are you getting divorced? The word hit like a fist. What? Honey, where did you... Sophia's parents got divorced. She has 2 houses now. She says it's okay, but she cries during recess sometimes. I pulled her into my lap. She still smelled like birthday cake, like childhood, like everything I was supposed to protect. Things are complicated right now, I said, but you didn't do anything wrong. Do you understand me? Nothing that's happening is because of you. She nodded against my chest, but I felt her shoulders tense. Can I show you something? She asked. She climbed off my lap and went to her desk, pulled out a piece of construction paper. It was a drawing, crayon stick figures holding hands, 4 of them, me, Sarah, Emma, and a dog we didn't have. The title written in purple marker, Our Happy Family. I made it for Mommy, Emma said, for Mother's Day, but I forgot to give it to her. The dog was smiling. Everyone was smiling. The sun had a face. Everything in a 7-year-old's world was supposed to be this simple. It's beautiful, I managed. Daddy, did I do something wrong? And there it was, again. The question I couldn't answer. No, baby, you didn't do anything wrong. Then why doesn't Mommy want to live here anymore? I looked at the drawing, at her perfect family that only existed in crayon, at her little face trying so hard to understand something I barely understood myself. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, I said, and sometimes those mistakes hurt people who don't deserve it. Like me, like you, and like me, but we're going to be okay. Promise? I wanted to promise. I wanted to promise her everything, that nothing would change, that mommy would come back, that her world wouldn't split into two houses and alternating weekends and who gets Christmas morning negotiations. But I couldn't lie to her. I promise I will do everything I can to keep you safe, I said, and that will never ever change. She hugged me, hard. Her arms barely fit around my shoulders. I held her drawing against my chest and tried not to let her feel me shaking. If you've ever felt your world tilt in front of people who couldn't help you, you know this moment, when you have to be strong because someone smaller is watching, when you have to smile because falling apart isn't an option yet. Sometimes witnesses matter, even when they're strangers. The lawyer's office was downtown. 14th floor, glass walls, leather chairs. Everything designed to make you feel like justice was expensive and orderly and inevitable. Rebecca Morrison was the third lawyer I'd called. The first two said they couldn't take my case. Conflict of interest because they'd consulted with Sarah years ago about estate planning. The third told me to bring everything I had. I brought a folder, then another folder, then a cardboard box. Rebecca was in her 50s, gray hair pulled back, reading glasses on a chain. She looked at my evidence like a surgeon examining an x-ray. "Talk me through the timeline," she said. "Married 11 years. Daughter is 7. Wife announced she wants a divorce yesterday during our daughter's birthday party. Then I found out about the affair. Then I found out about the money." "How much money?" $58,600 from our joint savings, drained over 4 months. Rebecca made a note. "You have documentation?" I slid the bank statements across her desk. She studied them, nodded. "This is good," she said. "What else?" I showed her the credit card receipts, the text message screenshots, the post-it note in Sarah's handwriting, the timeline I'd made at 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, every hotel charge, every unexplained absence, every lie I could remember. Rebecca spent 11 minutes reading, didn't say a word. Finally, "Your wife made mistakes." That's one way to put it. I mean, legal mistakes, evidentiary mistakes. She left a paper trail. She admitted the affair in writing. She documented her intent to hide assets. Rebecca looked up. "Most people are smarter about this." "So what does that mean?" "It means we have leverage. She knows what she did. And more importantly, she knows you know. When we serve the separation papers, she's going to panic. And when people panic, they make more mistakes." "I don't want revenge," I said. "I want custody of Emma. I want to make sure my daughter doesn't grow up thinking this is normal." Rebecca leaned back in her chair. "A custody in this state defaults to shared unless we can prove one parent is unfit or acting against the child's best interest. Financial infidelity helps. Documented lying helps. But family court judges have seen it all. We need her to panic, to make mistakes we can use." She opened a drawer, pulled out a voice recorder, smaller than a credit card. "One-party consent state," she said. "If you're part of a conversation, you can record it, legally. Keep this on you. If she tries to contact you, if she makes threats, if she says anything about the money or the affair or Emma, record everything." I took the recorder. It was heavier than it looked. "What about Emma?" I asked. "How do I protect her from all this?" "Document everything related to Emma's well-being. If your wife misses pickups, if she's late, if Emma comes home upset, write it down. Time, date, what happened. Get Emma into therapy immediately. Not because something's wrong with her, but because we need a professional assessment. Family court listens to therapists." "This all feels so cold," I said, "like we're treating my family like a chess game." Rebecca looked at me over her reading glasses. "Mr. Wilson, your wife took $58,000 and planned to take more. She threw her wedding ring at you in front of your daughter and a room full of witnesses. She told you she'd been faking your marriage for months. This is a chess game, and right now you're playing defense." She slid a packet of papers across the desk. "Intake forms, financial disclosures, emergency custody motion. Fill these out tonight. I'll file tomorrow morning. That fast? That fast. Because every day you wait is a day she has to hide more assets, delete more texts, or establish a narrative that paints you as the problem. We move first. We move hard. And we make sure the court sees exactly who she is before she can spin it. I looked at the papers, at the recorder, at the folders full of evidence that proved my marriage was a lie. No yelling, no threats, just documentation, Rebecca said. Can you do that? I thought about Emma's drawing, her question, her 7-year-old face trying to make sense of adult cruelty. Yes, I said, I can do that. Rebecca looked at my evidence folder and said, this is good, but we need her to panic, to make mistakes. I walked out of that office with a plan, a strategy. And for the first time since the birthday cake incident, I felt something that wasn't grief or rage or confusion. I felt like maybe, just maybe, I could protect my daughter after all. The separation papers arrived at Sarah's sister's house on a Tuesday morning, 29 pages, laser printed, bound with a black clip that felt official and final. I didn't deliver them myself. Rebecca hired a process server, a woman named Carol who wore a blazer and carried a clipboard and made the end of my marriage look like a UPS delivery. Sarah called me 6 minutes later. What the hell is this? Legal documents, I said. The recorder was in my shirt pocket, red light blinking. You said you wanted a divorce. I didn't mean, Jake, this is insane. A forensic accountant? You're requesting a forensic accountant? You took $58,000. I'd like to know where it went. I already told you. You told me you needed to feel something. That's not a budget line item, Sarah. That's not an explanation. She was quiet for a moment. I could hear traffic in the background. She wasn't home, wasn't at work. Was she with him? You can't afford a forensic accountant, she said finally. This is a bluff. Read page 14. The retainer agreement. My parents wrote the check yesterday. Another silence, longer this time. You're really doing this, she said. You already did this. I'm just making sure it's documented. What about Emma? What about her? The custody schedule, 50-50? Jake, that's not realistic. She needs stability. She needs her mother. She needs parents who don't lie to her, parents who show up, parents who don't throw rings across the kitchen during birthday parties. You're being vindictive. I'm being thorough. There's a difference. I could hear her breathing. Fast, shallow, the panic Rebecca predicted. I have a lawyer too, Sarah said, and he says you don't have a case. Then I guess we'll let the court decide. She hung up. I stopped the recording, saved it, backed it up to 3 different locations, sent a copy to Rebecca with a timestamp. She laughed when she saw the forensic accountant request. You can't afford that, she said. She didn't know my parents had already written the check. The phone call came 3 days later. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Is this Jake Wilson? A woman's voice, tight, controlled. Yes, who's this? My name is Diane Fletcher. I'm married to Marcus Fletcher. I think you know him. The name meant nothing. I don't... He's sleeping with your wife. The world tilted again. I sat down on the kitchen floor, the same floor where I'd found the ring under the fridge, the same floor where everything kept breaking. How did you find me? I asked. Hotel receipts, 14 of them over 6 months, all charged to Marcus's credit card, all with a note in his planner, SW. Sarah Wilson. I Googled you, found your Facebook, found your wife's Facebook, saw the birthday party photos from last week. Her voice cracked. Your daughter is beautiful. Thank you. We have 2 kids, 9 and 11. They think their dad goes on business trips. I closed my eyes. Another family, another set of kids asking questions, another wife holding evidence she never wanted to find. I'm sorry, I said, and don't be sorry, be smart. She cleared her throat. I have a lawyer. His name is Richard Chen. He specializes in divorce cases involving financial fraud. He's putting together a timeline, dates, locations, expenses. Every lie Marcus told me, your wife was telling you the same thing. We're comparing notes. Why are you helping me? Because Sarah told Marcus you two were already separated. She said the divorce was amicable. She said there was no one else in your life and you'd both moved on. Diane laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. She's been lying to everyone. I thought about the birthday party, about Emma's face, about the ring under the fridge. We weren't separated, I said. We weren't even fighting. Not until she threw her ring at me in front of 12 children and 8 witnesses. That's what I thought, which means everything she told Marcus was a lie. Which means everything Marcus told me was a lie. Which means we have two people who are very, very bad at covering their tracks. Diane sent me her evidence folder 20 minutes later. Hotel receipts with matching dates to the charges on Sarah's credit card. Text messages Marcus forgot to delete. Photos from a weekend trip to Napa that Sarah told me was a girls' spa retreat with her sister. There was a jewelry receipt in the folder, a necklace, $3,200, purchased with Marcus's credit card on the same day my joint account dropped by $3,200 in cash. I bought her a necklace with my own money, Diane wrote in the email. She's wearing my husband's guilt around her neck, and you paid for it. I forwarded everything to Rebecca. Then I called Diane back. Thank you, I said. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when we win. She paused. I could hear kids in the background, asking about dinner, fighting over a remote control. Normal sounds from a life that was about to split in half. Your lawyer said something to you, didn't she? Diane asked. About not leaving. How did you... My grandmother said the same thing. We don't leave. She meant it about family, about loyalty, about showing up even when it's hard. Diane's voice was steady now, strong. Sarah and Marcus left, but we're still here, still protecting our kids, still doing the right thing even though it hurts. We don't leave, I repeated. No, Diane said, we don't. Emma's therapist was named Dr. Sarah Chen. The coincidence of the first name felt like a cosmic joke. The therapy office was in a building designed to look non-threatening. Bright colors, fish tanks, waiting room toys that were cleaned twice a day. Everything screaming, your child is safe here. I brought Emma 3 times, once a week. She drew pictures, played with doll houses, talked about school and her friends, and whether dogs like peanut butter. Dr. Chen called me on a Thursday afternoon. I've completed Emma's initial assessment, she said. I'm sending you the written report today. It's 11 pages. Some of it will be difficult to read. How bad is it? Emma is exhibiting anxiety consistent with prolonged exposure to parental conflict. She's not sleeping well. She's having nightmares about people leaving. She started asking questions about whether you're going to leave too. The words hit like fists. I'm not leaving, I said. I've told her that. I know you have. But children don't process reassurance the same way adults do. She's seen one parent leave. Her brain is preparing for the possibility that the other one will too. Dr. Chen paused. I heard papers rustling. Emma did something in our last session, she said. She was playing with the dollhouse, acting out a scene. The mother doll kept leaving the house, coming back, leaving again. The father doll and the child doll stayed inside. When I asked what was happening, Emma said, Mommy keeps going away and the little girl doesn't know why. I was sitting in my car in the Target parking lot. I put my head against the steering wheel. What do I do? I asked. You keep showing up. You keep being consistent. You keep telling her the truth in ways she can understand. And you let me document what I'm seeing because family court needs to know the impact this is having on her. The report, is it court admissible? Yes. And Mr. Wilson, there's something else. Dr. Chen's voice dropped. Emma drew a picture in our last session. She drew 2 houses. One house had her and you inside, smiling faces. The other house had her mother alone, angry face. When I asked her which house she felt safe in, she pointed to the one with you. Can you put that in the report? It's already in there. Page 7. The report arrived by email an hour later. 11 pages, single-spaced, clinical language that somehow made everything worse. Patient exhibits separation anxiety, hypervigilance regarding parental whereabouts, and persistent questioning about caregiver stability. Play therapy sessions reveal consistent themes of abandonment and fear of secondary loss. Patient has verbalized preference for quiet environments and has associated loud voices with distress. There was a section titled Child Statements, verbatim. I want to live where people don't yell. Mommy doesn't smile at Daddy anymore. Did I make Mommy sad? Will Daddy leave too? Page 7 had Emma's drawings, scanned in color, the 2 houses, the stick figures, one house with me and Daddy written in purple crayon, hearts around the border. The therapist's report had one sentence underlined in red. Child exhibits anxiety consistent with prolonged exposure to parental conflict. I sat in that Target parking lot for 37 minutes. Couldn't move. Couldn't think. Just stared at my daughter's drawing and wondered how many more drawings like this she'd make before this was over. Here's what I need to know. Would you protect your child's relationship with the other parent even if they hurt you? There's no right answer to this. But the answer shapes everything that comes next. The court will ask, the lawyers will ask, your own conscience will ask at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep. I forwarded the report to Rebecca. Then I called my mom and asked if she could pick up Emma from school because I needed 20 minutes to fall apart in private. She didn't ask questions, just said she'd be there. That's the thing about family, real family. The ones who stay, we don't leave. Sarah showed up at the house 3 days later, unannounced, angry. I was making dinner. Emma was upstairs doing homework. The recorder was in my pocket because the recorder was always in my pocket now. We need to talk, Sarah said. We can talk through lawyers. Stop being difficult. This is about Emma. I hit record, checked that the red light was on. Okay, I said. Talk. She came into the kitchen, looked around like she was cataloging everything she'd left behind. The coffee maker she never used. The cookbooks that were mine. The life that was never really ours. I got the custody evaluation request, she said, and the therapist's report. Then you know Emma's struggling. Emma is fine. Emma has nightmares about people leaving. She's afraid I'm going to disappear like you did. Dr. Chen's report is 11 pages of documentation that proves she's not fine. Sarah's jaw tightened. You're poisoning her against me. I haven't said a single negative word about you to her. Not one. All I've told her is that grown-ups sometimes make mistakes and none of this is her fault. Then why does she keep asking to stay here? Why does she cry when it's my night? Because you threw a ring at me in front of her entire birthday party and then disappeared for 3 days. Because she doesn't know who you are anymore. Because children need stability and you've given her nothing but chaos. Sarah stepped closer. You want to know why I left? Why I needed to get out? I already know why. You wanted to feel 25 again. You said so yourself. I've been unhappy for years, Jake, years. I just didn't know how to tell you. So you stole $58,000 and started an affair instead. It wasn't stealing. It was our money. You drained our joint account 4 months before telling me you wanted out. You hid purchases. You closed credit cards. You wrote close joint account 1115 on a Post-it note like you were making a grocery list. She went pale. How did you... I found it, along with everything else. The hotel receipts, the jewelry purchases, the timeline, all of it. You went through my things? You stole my money. I'd say we're past privacy concerns. She was shaking now. Good. Let her shake. Let her feel what I felt standing in the kitchen with bank statements that proved my marriage was a lie. I've been planning this for 8 months, she said. I didn't just wake up one day and decide to leave. I thought about it. I prepared. I made sure I had options. You mean you made sure you had my money? Our money, money you were hiding, money you planned to take, money you were going to use to start your new life while I figured out how to explain to Emma why we can't afford her dance lessons anymore. Sarah's face twisted. You're making this so much harder than it needs to be. We could have done this amicably. We could have split things fairly. But you had to hire a shark lawyer and file for full custody and drag my name through. I filed for primary custody, not full custody. There's a difference. You're trying to take my daughter away from me. I'm trying to protect her from the version of you that throws rings and drains bank accounts and lies to everyone, including the man you're sleeping with. Don't you dare. Diane Fletcher called me, Marcus's wife. She has receipts too. 14 hotel dates that match your credit card charges, photos from Napa, text messages, a timeline that proves you've been lying to everyone for months. Sarah froze. You talked to Diane? She talked to me. Compared notes. Turns out you told Marcus we were already separated, that the divorce was my idea, that you'd moved on months ago. I stepped closer, kept my voice level. But we weren't separated, Sarah. We were living in the same house, sleeping in the same bed, raising our daughter together while you planned your exit strategy and spent my money on hotel rooms. You don't understand. I understand that Emma asked me every single night if I'm going to leave too. I understand that she drew a picture of 2 houses and said she feels safe in the one without you. I understand that you've traumatized a 7-year-old because you couldn't have an adult conversation about being unhappy. I'm still her mother. Then act like it. Show up for pickups. Stop making promises you don't keep. Stop using her as leverage when you don't get your way. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. If you fight me, I'll make sure Emma knows you forced me to stay. I'll tell her everything. How you trapped me. How you controlled the money. How you made my life miserable. I felt my blood go cold. You're threatening to traumatize our daughter because I won't let you steal from me? I'm telling you what will happen if you don't back off. The recorder was still going. Every word, every threat, every sentence that proved exactly who she'd become. Is that all? I asked quietly. I'm serious, Jake. Drop the custody fight. Accept 50-50. Let me have half the accounts, and I won't tell Emma that you're the reason I left. I'll see you in court, I said. She stared at me, waiting for me to blink, to fold, to protect her from the consequences of her own choices. I didn't blink. She left, slammed the door, peeled out of the driveway fast enough to leave tire marks. I stopped the recording. 17 minutes, 14 seconds, saved it, backed it up. Sent it to Rebecca with the subject line, nuclear option. At minute 14:32, she said the sentence my lawyer called the nuclear option. If you fight me, I'll make sure Emma knows you forced me to stay. Rebecca called me back in under 3 minutes. Tell me you got that on tape, she said, every word. No editing, no interpretation, just her words. Just her words, I confirmed. Jake, Rebecca said slowly, you just won this case. The first court appearance was in a building that smelled like floor wax and old paper. Courtroom 4B, Judge Patricia Patterson presiding, 29 years on the bench, a reputation for having zero patience for bullshit. Sarah sat on the opposite side of the room with her lawyer, a man named Gerald something, expensive suit, briefcase that cost more than my car payment. He looked confident. Rebecca looked calm. There's a difference. All rise. Judge Patterson came in, late 50s, reading glasses on a chain, gray hair cut short. She looked at Sarah, then at me, then at the folders on her desk. This is a preliminary hearing for Wilson v. Wilson, custody and financial disclosures. She opened the top folder. I've reviewed the initial filings. Let's start with financials. Mrs. Wilson, can you explain why your financial disclosure form lists $67,000 in joint savings, but Mr. Wilson's bank statements show $8,400? Sarah stood, smoothed her skirt. Your Honor, there were expenses. What expenses? Living expenses, personal expenses, things I needed. $58,600 in 4 months. What did you need, Mrs. Wilson? Sarah's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client maintains that. I'm asking your client, Judge Patterson said, not you. Sarah looked at Gerald, then at me, then back at the judge. 9 seconds of silence. I was preparing to separate, Sarah said finally. I needed funds to secure housing, and without telling your husband, without documentation, without any accounting of where that money went. The account was joint. I had legal access. Legal access doesn't mean ethical use. Did you tell your husband you were draining the account? No, Your Honor. Did you document where the money went? I have receipts. Then submit them by Friday, every dollar, every transaction, and Mr. Wilson is requesting a forensic accountant. I'm going to allow that. You'll cooperate fully. Judge Patterson made a note. Let's talk about custody. She opened another folder, pulled out what looked like Dr. Chen's report. I've reviewed the therapist's assessment. Your daughter is 7 years old. She's exhibiting separation anxiety, nightmares, fear of abandonment. She's asked her therapist if her father is going to leave her, too. Judge Patterson looked at Sarah over her reading glasses. She's asking if the parent who stayed is also going to leave. Do you understand the significance of that? Your Honor, children are resilient. Children are traumatized when their worlds fall apart without explanation. Your daughter drew a picture showing which parent she feels safe with. It wasn't you. Sarah's face went red. That's taken out of context. The context is an 11-page clinical assessment by a licensed child psychologist. The context is that your daughter is suffering because the adults in her life can't maintain basic stability. Judge Patterson closed the folder. I'm ordering a custody evaluation. Full home visits, interviews, background checks. We'll reconvene in 60 days with the evaluator's recommendations. Your Honor, Gerald said, my client requests standard 50-50 custody pending evaluation. Your client can request whatever she wants. But until I see a full financial accounting, a stable living situation, and evidence that she can prioritize her child's needs over her own desires, we're maintaining status quo. Mr. Wilson has primary physical custody. Mrs. Wilson gets supervised visits twice weekly, 2 hours each. Supervised? Sarah stood up. Your Honor, I'm her mother. You're her mother who threw a wedding ring across a room during her daughter's birthday party in front of witnesses. You're her mother who drained a joint account and disappeared for 3 days. You're her mother who, according to the therapist's report, is the source of your daughter's nightmares. Judge Patterson looked at her notes. When you can demonstrate stability, we'll revisit custody. Until then, supervised visits, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 to 6 p.m., Mr. Wilson will arrange the location. The judge looked at her clerk, nodded, stood. Next case. The judge asked her one question. Can you explain why you listed $67,000 in savings, but your husband's bank shows $8,400? She froze for 9 seconds. I walked out of that courtroom with primary custody, with supervised visits, with a court order for full financial disclosure. Rebecca waited until we were in the elevator to smile. That, she said, is what happens when someone comes to court unprepared. She thought she'd win because she's the mother. She thought wrong. Judge Patterson has 3 kids of her own. She doesn't have patience for parents who use children as weapons. Rebecca pressed the button for the lobby. Now we wait for the financials, and when Sarah's lawyer sees what she's spent that $58,000 on, he's going to advise her to settle. What if she doesn't? Then we go to deposition, and we play the recording of her threatening to traumatize Emma. And we watch her lawyer realize he's representing someone who can't stop making his job harder. The elevator doors opened, sunlight from the lobby windows, people walking by with briefcases and coffee cups, and lives that weren't falling apart. "How's Emma?" Rebecca asked. "She asked me this morning if she could plant flowers on the balcony, said she wanted to grow something." Rebecca smiled. "That's a good sign." "Yeah," I said. "Yeah, it is." The deposition happened in a conference room with fluorescent lights and a window that looked out at a parking garage. Nothing about it felt dramatic. Nothing about it felt like justice. But justice doesn't always announce itself with trumpets. Sometimes it's just a court reporter typing 90 words per minute while someone's life unravels in real time. Sarah sat across from Rebecca, her lawyer Gerald beside her, a pitcher of water on the table that nobody touched. Rebecca opened a binder, blue tabs, color-coded, everything in chronological order. "Mrs. Wilson, let's establish a timeline. When did your relationship with Marcus Fletcher begin?" Sarah glanced at Gerald. He nodded. "I don't recall the exact date," Sarah said. "Approximately. Last year, sometime." Rebecca slid a paper across the table. Hotel receipt, March 17th, 2022, room 412, charged to Marcus Fletcher's credit card, 2 nights. "Does this refresh your memory?" Sarah stared at the receipt. "That could be anyone." "The room was registered under your name. Hotel policies requires ID. We've subpoenaed their records." Rebecca pulled out another paper. "And here's a text message from your phone to Marcus's phone, dated March 18th, 2022. Best weekend ever. Can't believe we have to go back to reality tomorrow." "I don't remember. Mrs. Wilson, I have 23 hotel receipts spanning 18 months. I have text messages. I have photos Marcus's wife recovered from their joint cloud account. I can keep showing you evidence, or you can answer the question truthfully. When did the relationship begin?" Sarah's hands were shaking. "March 2022. "March 2022, Rebecca repeated. She made a note. "And when was your daughter, Emma, born?" "May 2022. So you began the affair while you were pregnant." The room went quiet. The court reporter's fingers paused over the keyboard. "I was struggling," Sarah said. "Pregnancy was hard. Jake was working all the time. I felt alone." "Yes or no, Mrs. Wilson? Did the affair begin while you were pregnant with Emma?" Gerald put a hand on Sarah's arm, whispered something. "Yes," Sarah said. Rebecca let that sit. 8 seconds, 10 seconds. The silence was louder than any accusation. "Let's talk about finances. Between March and July of this year, you withdrew or transferred $58,600 from your joint savings account, correct?" "Yes." "Did you tell your husband about these withdrawals?" "No." "Did you document where the money went?" "Some of it." Rebecca pulled out a stack of papers, receipts, bank statements, credit card bills. She spread them out like a hand of cards. "Hotel expenses, $14,300. Jewelry purchases, $8,200. Cash withdrawals with no documentation, $31,000. Restaurant charges, $4,100. Rebecca looked up. "That's $58,500. Where did the remaining $100 go?" "I don't remember You don't remember, or you don't want to say?" "Objection," Gerald said, argumentative. "Withdrawn." Rebecca pulled out another document. "Mrs. Wilson, this is a necklace receipt from Tiffany & Co. Purchased April 14th, 2023, $3,200. Charged to Marcus Fletcher's credit card. Were you aware that on April 14th, your husband's joint account shows a cash withdrawal of $3,200? Sarah didn't answer. "You withdrew his money to buy yourself a gift that your affair partner was supposed to give you. Is that accurate?" "I needed yes or no." "Yes." Gerald objected 6 times in the next 12 minutes. Rebecca didn't argue. She just kept sliding evidence across the table, each document more damning than the last. Timeline poster. Affair started during pregnancy. 18 months of documented lies, hotel records, 23 instances, text messages recovered by forensic tech showing detailed planning. Her lawyer objected 6 times in 12 minutes. Mine didn't say a word. She just kept sliding evidence across the table. "One more question," Rebecca said. On November 3rd, you had a conversation with your husband at his residence. Do you recall that conversation? Vaguely. "Let me refresh your memory." Rebecca pressed play on a small speaker. My voice: "You're threatening to traumatize our daughter because I won't let you steal from me." Sarah's voice, clear as day: "I'm telling you what will happen if you don't back off." My voice: "Is that all?" Sarah's voice: "I'm serious, Jake. Drop the custody fight. Accept 50-50. Let me have half the accounts, and I won't tell Emma that you're the reason I left." Rebecca stopped the recording. "Did you threaten to lie to your daughter about her father in order to gain leverage in this divorce?" Sarah's face was white. "I was emotional." "Yes or no?" "I didn't mean..." "Yes or no, Mrs. Wilson?" "Yes." Rebecca closed her binder. No further questions. The affair didn't start last year. It started while she was pregnant with Emma. 18 months of lies, and she'd been planning her exit the whole time. 2 weeks later, Rebecca called with news. "Sarah's lawyer wants to settle," she said. "What are the terms?" "You get primary custody. She gets every other weekend and 1 dinner per week. No supervision required after 6 months of consistent visits. Full financial restitution, $58,600 plus interest. She pays her own legal fees. You keep the house." "What does she get?" "Her retirement account, her car, visitation with Emma, and the chance to rebuild a relationship with her daughter if she can prove she's stable." I sat with that for a moment. It was everything I'd asked for. Everything Rebecca said was possible, but it felt hollow somehow, like winning a game nobody should have had to play. "What about Emma?" I asked. The custody evaluator's report came back. Emma told her she loves both parents but feels safer with you. She said your house is quiet and predictable. She said her mom's apartment has too many rules that change too often. Rebecca paused. "The evaluator recommended primary custody to you. The judge agreed." "When do we finalize?" "Friday, final hearing. It'll take 20 minutes. Sarah will sign. Judge will approve. And then it's over." "Okay," I said. "Okay." "Jake, one more thing. Emma asked the custody evaluator if she could write a letter to the judge. The evaluator included it in her report. It's on page 37 if you want to read it before Friday." I opened the report that night after Emma went to bed, scrolled to page 37. The letter was scanned in color, written on lined paper, purple crayon for her name, pink hearts in the corners. "Dear Juge, my name is Emma. I am 7. I feel safe when Daddy reads to me. Mommy yells a lot now. Can I stay where it's not loud? Love, Emma." Below the letter was a drawing, a house, 2 stick figures inside holding hands. Me and Daddy written in purple, a sun with a smiling face. A dog, the dog we didn't have yet. I read it 3 times, 4 times. Tried to imagine Emma writing this, her small hand gripping the crayon, her 7-year-old brain trying to explain something adults had made too complicated. Emma's letter had one line that broke the courtroom. "Can I stay where it's not loud?" I put my head in my hands and cried. Friday, courtroom 4B, Judge Patterson presiding. Sarah was already there when I arrived. She looked smaller somehow, tired, her lawyer Gerald beside her with a folder of documents to sign. Emma wasn't there. Rebecca said it was better that way. Let the adults finish what they started. Let Emma find out later when everything was settled and safe. "All rise." Judge Patterson came in, same reading glasses, same no-nonsense expression. "Wilson vs. Wilson, final custody and property settlement hearing." She opened the folder in front of her. "I've reviewed the settlement agreement. Mrs. Wilson, do you understand the terms?" "Yes, Your Honor." "You're agreeing to primary physical custody to Mr. Wilson. You'll have parenting time every other weekend and one dinner per week. You're responsible for full financial restitution of $58,600 plus interest. You're paying your own legal fees. Do you understand these terms? Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Wilson, do you agree to these terms? Yes, Your Honor. Judge Patterson pulled out another document, the custody evaluator's report, Emma's letter. Before I sign this, I want to say something. She removed her glasses, looked at Sarah. Mrs. Wilson, your daughter wrote a letter to this court. She's 7 years old. She used crayon. She misspelled judge and yells and a lot. But she was clear about one thing. She wants to live where it's not loud. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Children shouldn't have to beg for peace in their own homes, Judge Patterson continued. They shouldn't have to choose between parents. They shouldn't have to write letters to judges asking for safety. She put her glasses back on. You put your daughter in that position. You threw a ring during her birthday party. You disappeared for days. You drained accounts and made threats and forced a 7-year-old to choose. Your Honor, I'm not finished. You have an opportunity now. An opportunity to rebuild, to show your daughter that you can be stable and consistent and trustworthy. But that opportunity comes with responsibility. If you miss visits, if you're late, if you bring chaos into her life, I will revisit this custody arrangement. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. Judge Patterson signed the order, slid it across to the clerk. This case is closed. Good luck to both of you. The judge removed her glasses, folded Emma's letter, and said 4 words. I've seen enough. We stood. Sarah left immediately. Didn't look at me, didn't say anything. Just walked out with Gerald trailing behind her. Rebecca squeezed my shoulder. You did it. I know. How do you feel? Exhausted, relieved, sad that it had to come to this. That's normal. You protected your daughter. That's what matters. I looked at the empty courtroom, at the judge's bench where decisions about Emma's future had been made by strangers who'd never seen her smile or heard her laugh or watched her try to spell dinosaur without help. Can I tell you something? I said. Of course. I don't feel like I won. I feel like we all lost. Emma lost 2 parents who could coexist peacefully. Sarah lost her daughter's trust. I lost 11 years of my life that I thought meant something. Rebecca tilted her head. Or you won something different. You won the chance to rebuild. You won Emma's safety. You won the knowledge that when it mattered most, you showed up. She picked up her briefcase. That's not nothing, Jake. No, I said. I guess it's not. 6 months later, Emma's 8th birthday party. Smaller this time, just family, my parents, Diane Fletcher and her 2 kids. A few of Emma's friends from school. No chaos, no drama, no rings thrown across kitchens. The cake was simpler this year, store-bought, chocolate with vanilla frosting. Emma helped me decorate it. We used those little tubes of icing, the kind that make everything look messy and perfect at the same time. She wanted rainbows, so we made rainbows, all 6 colors, plus some purple, because purple was her favorite this month. Daddy, Emma said while we waited for guests to arrive. Yeah, sweetheart. Can we talk about something serious? My stomach dropped. Here it comes. A question about her mom, about the divorce, about why things couldn't go back to how they were. Of course, I said. What's up? Can we get a dog? I want to name her Hope. I stared at her. That's your serious question? Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot. Dogs are good friends, and Hope is a pretty name. Plus, I already drew pictures of her. She held up her sketchbook. Page after page of stick-figure dogs with smiling faces. I laughed, really laughed. The kind of laugh that releases 6 months of tension. Yeah, I said. Yeah, we can get a dog. Really? Really. She hugged me, hard, then ran off to tell my mom that we were getting a dog named Hope. Diane came over with a glass of wine for me and a juice box for herself. She'd stopped drinking during her own divorce proceedings. She seems happy, Diane said. She is, most days. She still has bad nights, still asks about her mom sometimes, but she's healing. We all are. Diane clinked her juice box against my wine glass. Our kids had a play date last week, did Emma tell you? She did. She said your daughter taught her how to do cartwheels. And your daughter taught mine how to make friendship bracelets. They traded. It was adorable. Diane smiled. Marcus moved to Portland. Did I tell you? No. Took a job transfer. Said he needed a fresh start. Really, he just needed to be somewhere his mistakes weren't constantly in his face. How are your kids handling it? Better than I expected. They FaceTime him twice a week. See him over holidays. But they're not crying themselves to sleep anymore. They're not asking questions I can't answer. She looked at Emma, laughing with the other kids. That's all we can ask for, right? That our kids come out the other side intact. We don't leave, I said quietly. Diane looked at me, smiled. No, we don't. Later that night, after the party ended and Emma went to bed, I found myself in the garage looking for that old box of wedding photos. The box I'd packed away 6 months ago and hadn't opened since. I found it under some Christmas decorations, opened it, sifted through. There was the ring, the one Sarah threw, the one I'd found under the fridge that night that felt like another lifetime. I picked it up, turned it over in my hand. The gold had dulled slightly. The engraving was still there. We don't leave. My grandmother gave me this ring when I proposed. Told me it had been in the family for 3 generations. Told me the motto meant you don't abandon the people you love, even when it's hard. I thought it meant marriage, thought it meant staying no matter what. But maybe it meant something else. Maybe it meant staying for the right reasons. Protecting the people who deserve protection. Not leaving the people who actually need you, like Emma. Like my parents who wrote that check for the forensic accountant. Like Diane, who could have walked away but chose to fight alongside me instead. Sarah left. But I didn't leave Emma. I didn't leave my integrity. I didn't leave my commitment to doing the right thing even when it was hard. That's what we don't leave really means. Not blind loyalty to a lie, but fierce loyalty to truth. To the people who earn it. To the family you choose, not just the family you're born into. I put the ring in a small velvet box. Put the box in my desk drawer, not to forget, but to remember. To remember that some endings are beginnings, that some losses are gains, that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let go of who someone was and accept who they've become. Emma padded into the office in her pajamas. Daddy, I can't sleep. Bad dream? No, just thinking. About what? About when we get Hope. Do you think she'll like sleeping in my room? I think she'll love it. And do you think Mom will want to meet her? There it was, the question I'd been waiting for. I think your mom loves you very much, I said carefully, and I think she's working on being the kind of mom you deserve. But whether she meets Hope or not, that's up to her. What matters is that you and I are building something good here. Something safe. Something that's ours. Emma thought about that. I like our house. It's quiet, in a good way. Me too, kiddo. Can you read to me until I fall asleep? Of course. We went to her room. I read from the chapter book we'd been working through, something about a girl who could talk to animals. Emma fell asleep before I finished the chapter. I looked around her room, at the drawings on the wall, new ones now, happy faces, rainbows, dogs named Hope. No more divided houses, no more angry stick figures. She was healing. We were healing. Tell me about your chosen family, the person who stayed when biology walked away, the friend who became a sister, the neighbor who became a lifeline, the stranger on the internet who sent you a message when you needed it most. That's what this story is really about. Not the leaving, but the staying. Emma's 8th birthday came and went. The cake we made together with rainbow icing. The party with no witnesses except the people who mattered. The normal, boring, beautiful simplicity of a childhood that was finally allowed to be just that, childhood. On a Tuesday afternoon 3 weeks later, Emma and I drove to the animal shelter. She'd been talking about hope for weeks, drew pictures, made lists of dog names, researched what dogs ate and how often they needed walks and whether they liked swimming. The shelter worker showed us 7 different dogs. Emma smiled politely at all of them, but when we got to the last kennel, a scruffy mutt with one ear that flopped and one that stood up, she froze. "That one," she said, "that's Hope." "Are you sure? Don't you want to—" "I'm sure." The dog wagged her tail, pressed her nose against the kennel door. Emma reached through the bars, and the dog licked her hand. "She chose me," Emma whispered. "Can we take her home today?" We brought Hope home that afternoon. Emma sat in the back seat with the dog's head in her lap, talking to her about their room and the backyard and the rainbow cake we still had left over in the fridge. That night, Emma brought me something while I was washing dishes. A small frame. Inside was a drawing, not a new one, an old one. It was her Our Happy Family picture from the birthday party, the one she'd made for Sarah, the one with all of us holding hands and smiling, but Emma had modified it. She'd carefully cut out Sarah's figure, and in her place, she'd drawn Hope. 4 figures holding hands now, me, Emma, my mom, and a dog with one ear up and one ear down. "I fixed it," Emma said. "Now it's actually our family." I looked at the drawing, at the purple crayon, at the hearts in the corners, at my daughter's 7-year-old, now 8-year-old, wisdom deciding that family wasn't about biology. It was about who showed up, who stayed, who made the house feel safe. "It's perfect," I said. "Can we put it on the fridge?" "Absolutely." I hung it up with a magnet. Emma and Hope went to watch TV. I stood there looking at that drawing for a long time. My grandmother's motto, "We don't leave." Sarah left, but Emma and I stayed. We stayed in the hard parts, stayed in the rebuilding, stayed in the truth even when it hurt. And we'd found something better than what we'd lost. We'd found chosen family, real loyalty, the kind of love that doesn't need a ring to prove it's real. I kept the ring, kept the engraving, not as a reminder of marriage, but as a reminder of integrity. We don't leave. We just leave the wrong people for the right reasons. And when you do that, when you choose truth over comfort, safety over nostalgia, growth over stagnation, you don't lose family. You find it.